Regular meeting of the City Council to be held on February 15th, 6 p.m. at the City Council chambers. And if we could have our clerk take the roll, please.
Councilmember Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Hulse.
Here.
Councilmember Cura.
Present.
Councilmember Matthews.
Here.
Councilmember Wilden.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nairn.
Here.
Mayor Linsky.
Here. Thank you. And please stand to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. And council members, do we have anything to report? No? Okay. I've got just a few items. Was fortunate to meet with Chairman Huey of the Yavapai Apache Nation. I believe it was this Monday? No, last week, Monday. Last Monday, thank you. Anyway, he wanted to share with council that he won't be coming to make the presentation for the check that they normally do when they give us the Prop 202 funds. But they're just not going to do it this year. I guess the cost of those large checks has really gone up. So they won't be in, but he wanted to say they certainly enjoy that part of what they do, and they hope that we put the money to good use. So otherwise, we talked about general updates on what's happening on the nation. It was really a good chance to connect with him. Last evening, I attended Yavapai College's campus master plan meeting. There were other representatives from Camp Verde and Clarkdale elected representatives, as well as Paul Chevalier, who's on the governing board for the college. And it really was just a campus master plan update. They sent out a survey to ask folks who use Yavapai College what sort of improvements they might suggest. Some of the elected officials were expressing concern that that we would like to have other services offered on this side of the mountain. And there will be an opportunity for the elected officials and school administrators to also take a survey as well as they look at their master plan. And Northern Arizona Healthcare has really been making an effort recently to connect with the leadership in the Valley. And we're actually going to have a presentation coming up soon from Mr. Ice, who's on their team. He does facilities and whatnot. But they're going to be putting in a health village up in close to Flagstaff, which is kind of a big deal for the whole area. So he's going to come in and update us on that. But I will say they have been making a better effort to be in better communication with us, which I appreciate. And that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, if I can add to that meeting, they're not closing they're not closing our hospital, and there's rumors running around that they're going to be closing VVMC, and that is just not the case. They are prioritizing and reorganized delivery of care, but we are an important part of their delivery of care services, so we were glad to hear that. Mr. Mayor, if I can add a couple other items. Wanted to let the community know registration is still open for the SBDC's workshop in Spanish. So this is our efforts, our partnerships with the Yavapai College and the SBDC to reach out to our business owners who speak Spanish as their primary language. So they're offering this class in Spanish on 10 steps to build your business. And it'll be held at the Rec Center on Friday, February 17th from 4 to 5. You can register by visiting their website or calling 928-717-7232. Again, if you're interested in registering, 928-717-7232. And then this month's chamber mixer will be held on this Thursday, February 17th from 6 to 8 at the Moose Lodge there in Clarkdale. Registration is highly encouraged. And then I wanted to let the community know that the Verde Natural Resources Conservation District, the VNRCD Environmental Center, invites you to join them for their first Saturday Science. This free event will be held on Saturday, February 26th from 12 to 2 at the Verde Valley Discovery Center, which is our old fire station. Very excited about that. Learn about the 5 C's of Arizona. Enjoy the hands-on STEM-based activities for all ages. And then a new thing that we're trying this election cycle on February 22nd at 5 p.m. next Tuesday, Mayor Linsky, Mary Ann, and others, city staff will be hosting a presentation called City Government 101 at the Cottonwood Recreation Center. This presentation is intended for individuals who plan or are considering or thinking about running for a position in on our city council in this year's upcoming elections. It'll cover topics including the role of the mayor, council member, city manager, review of the local election process, departmental updates from public safety, community development, finance, fire, and others. No registration is required, and others are encouraged to show up and learn more about how to participate. We will be putting a plug in for our P&Z Commission, which still has 2 vacancies on it. So if you're interested in helping out in the community, we could use the help on planning and zoning. A couple other announcements real quick. Registration for the 2022 Cottonwood Vintage Run is currently open. Check out our website. Most excited about a brand new half-corked 5K run. So this is a 5K run walk, and I encourage you to walk because we're going to give you a glass of water, and then we're going to fill it up with wine at the end. So whatever water you bring to the end of the finish line, you will get some free wine from our the Wine Consortium, local wine supporting our the Heart of Arizona wine country. So again, go to our Parks and Rec website, sign up for the 5K, and get some free wine. We didn't ask the attorney if it was legal, but we're doing it. And then the police department is very excited to announce that they are reinstituting the school safety liaison officer position in our community, and this officer will be available for all of our primary schools in our city. Very, very excited about that. They are at 97% staffing levels, and they're able to do this even without a grant from the state. So very excited to support our schools and rebuild those relationships with our kids at the younger ages. Very excited about this, and thank the chief and his team for taking the initiative to get this done. I hear Mr. King is overly excited about this opportunity and the support he receives from our police department. And then on Saturday, February 12th, this last Saturday, the Cottonwood Police Department recognized 2 employees at the 8th Annual First Responders Moose Lodge Appreciation Dinner. Detective Strickland and Communications Specialist Brittany Jacobs was selected as the Officer and Communications Specialist of the Year for their outstanding contributions to the city and the department's mission, a job well done by both. And finally, the City of Cottonwood will soon have safe exchange zones, hopefully starting next week, which will be located at our Cottonwood Police Department. The area will be clearly marked so people can conduct business, e-commerce, and internet-based transactions with those they don't know, as well as conduct child custody exchanges. This location will be clearly designated in our parking lot on the south side of the department's parking lot. It creates a safe location by providing increased police presence, many times faster police responses, and 24/7 surveillance. So we'll have the cameras on those areas. Very excited about that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Great. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to call to the public. Again, this portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action. And comments are limited to a 3-minute time period. There's yellow forms in the back, folks. If you'd like to address us, please fill one out and we'll get you up here. And first up, if we could have someone help with the microphone, we have Miss Donna O'Daniel.
Thanks, Chris. That's good. Mayor Linsky and city councilors. Critical race theory, or CRT, examines everything through the lens of racism and fights so-called systemic racism, but its real goal is to divide and conquer the American people. The concept of divide and conquer was used by Chairman Mao in Communist China during their 1960s Cultural Revolution. Lily Tang Williams, an American citizen who grew up in China, witnessed how the Chinese people were divided into the black classes called the oppressors and the red classes called the oppressed. Statues were torn down and libraries were burned. Frenzied youth of the red classes were unleashed on the black classes as oppressors. As Lily explains, blood was literally running in the streets of China. Lily is seeing the same divide and conquer tactics used in America today, but under the guise of CRT. She warns, quote, Mao divided the whole Chinese population and 20 million people died. We are being divided on the basis of race, being taught in government settings, businesses, and schools that all white people are racist oppressors and all non-white people are oppressed victims. As a child, I and other American boys and girls were taught a song in Sunday school. It went like this: Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Please note that white is listed last in that song. The Bible states that we are all of one blood, and we children were colorblind. We did not need BLM to tell us that Black Lives Matter. Please note my t-shirt, purchased decades later, urging Dr. Ben Carson, a black man, to run for president in 2016 against Trump. CRT has been weaponized on college campuses. In 2017, a progressive professor at Evergreen State College was forced to resign after he refused to cancel his courses as a white prof to show solidarity with its minority students. No one is exempt from this totalitarian censure. The solution? Root out all CRT indoctrination. You, as city councilors, need to examine CRT's practices and assure us that CRT is not an underlying part of the city's conduct. Please read the article titled Critical Race Theory, which explains its Marxist intentions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Ed Chenoweth.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for letting me speak. And I've been here, I know, last 4 meetings. And I think I started by saying that as long as the charade of the airport being an asset to the community goes on, that I would show up. But so I feel like you've kept your part of the bargain. I'm going to try and keep mine. And last week I did say that between my 3 minutes then and my 3 minutes now, there was 2,000 noise bomb strafings of my home, my neighborhood, my community. And it's pretty much 4th grade math. There's, about 200 or so a day, so easily 1,000 a week. So 50,000 in a year doesn't sound too good. And I just kind of wonder what your vision of the future for the Up Valley ground zero for the noise bombardment is, because there's just going to be thousands more people coming in, right? And I hate to think what some of these meetings are going to look like when you get a few thousand more people who've just had it up to their ears. And I know that Mr. Tripp has had some meetings with people, and I don't think there's any surprises there. People come in and they've just had it. And so I'm not sure what's going to come of that. But I just wanted to show you up, because I feel like we have a little relationship now. Sort of. And thank you very much. Oh yeah, I remember the last time I was here, at the end I said thank you, and then I realized, I forgot to mention that there'd be 1,000 noise bombings before I could speak again. So I said that, and then I said thank you, and it might have sounded like I was thanking you for the noise bombings, but I was thanking you for the opportunity to speak. So before the cane comes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chenoweth. If there's no one else to address the council, then we'll go ahead and close the floor and move on to the approval of the minutes.
There were no minutes for approval, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, then, were there any questions? Next on the agenda is the monthly financial report for October 21. Any questions from council? Nope. Okay. All right, there's no unfinished business, so we roll into the consent agenda then, and there's 3 items on the consent agenda. The following 3 items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council, will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence. So again, 3 items. First up is special event liquor license application submitted by Scott R. Watson for an event scheduled for February 26, 2022 at the Immaculate Conception Parish Hall located at 700 Bill Gray Road. Resolution numbers 3122 and 3123, appointing members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And item 3 is authorization to apply for Section 5311 Federal Transportation Authority funding through the Arizona Department of Transportation for fiscal years 2022 to 2024 for the Cottonwood Area Transit Verde Shuttle Transit Systems. Is there an item that a council member or member of the public would like to have pulled? All right, I'll go ahead and motion then to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Holst seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's approved. And we'll have the clerk please read resolution numbers 3122 and 3123 by title only.
Resolution number 3122, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Randall Garrison a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and establishing his term of office. Resolution number 3123, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing James Glasscott a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and establishing his term of office. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. We have 2 items this evening. First is amending section 2.110.040.d of the Admissible Code relating to the attendance requirements for members of the city's Historic Preservation Commission. And this is the first reading. Evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Linsky, members of the council. As you stated, this is a request for a little modification to the bylaws for the Historic Preservation Commission. In the attendance section, and these bylaws are in the municipal code, which is why we're here with you tonight. In the attendance section, there's one word in there that sort of creates a little bit of a difficulty in the attendance and stability of the commission. The word consecutive stands out, and we're just asking for that to be removed. A member absent from 3 consecutive regular meetings or a cumulative total of 5. That's how it currently reads. We're just asking to have that word consecutive removed. That would bring the attendance requirements for the Historic Preservation Commission the same as the Planning Commission requirements. We would have situations where if somebody is not real diligent to attend, maybe they miss 2 meetings, they show up for 1, miss the next 2 meetings, makes it difficult to have a consistency in having that person attend. Sure. So we're just asking for that one minor amendment to be made in the municipal code for the HPC attendance.
All right, very good. Any discussion, council?
Well, I just have a quick question. So it's going to read a member absent from 3 regular meetings or a cumulative total of 5 regular or special meetings?
That's correct.
Okay.
In a yearly time frame.
I just had a discussion point or a question, because the ordinance currently doesn't allow for good cause for a member to miss for good cause, such as illness. And so I do have a concern because we have ongoing issues filling our vacancies. And so I don't know if we were to move in this direction, I would hope we would have some latitude. I mean, the way I read it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any ability for a member to say, I'm sick, or I have whatever life happened. So again, my concern is if we implement this, are we just deterring folks from serving on this board?
Mm-hmm. And this is exactly the same language in planning and zoning?
That's correct. These
with
would
the
be
planning and
consistent
zoning?
then.
Okay. I can see that being an issue too. I mean, I don't know that it's been that way for time immemorial with the Planning and Zoning Commission, or is this a recent change?
No, I don't think it's been changed in any time I can remember.
Okay.
I just found it a little confusing that in one part of the sentence it says 3 meetings, and the other part of the sentence it says 5 meetings. Is it 3? Is it 5?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Matthews, Scott Ellis, Community Development Director. It's a combination. Sometimes, every year, we have a couple special meetings for both commissions. If they were to miss those, let's say we had 4 special meetings and they missed all 4 of those plus 1 regular meeting, that would be that 5. To hit on Councilmember Henry's point, I don't disagree with your concern there, and it is definitely something that we could look at if council so desires. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we have had to remove 2 planning commissioners for those absences. They weren't related to being sick. They were, I don't know the exact reasons, but it is definitely something that we can look into making that verbiage change if council would like us to. But we think that the consistency on attendance from both commissions is important.
We can't discuss planning and zoning for tonight, but if we are moving in this direction, I agree. I like uniformity across our boards and commissions to the extent that I can comment on any other commission. But personally, I do think that we should be a little bit more lenient if there are valid excuses. And I understand that recent history has not proven that to be a case. And I don't want to make more work for staff having to keep up with folks, but just, earlier tonight we heard a plug for a vacancy or 2 vacancies on a separate commission. So that's my concern, just throwing it out there to see what the rest of council or staff thought. So thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, Council, it is, again, another one of our sections of the ordinance that needs to be probably updated. One of those that's been like that for a number of years.
Mr. Mayor, if it pleases council, direct us, table this or take no action on it, and we'll come back that has verbiage. We'll bring both ordinances back to make them the same, and we'll add language about circumstances that might permit more absences than normal, if that pleases council. We do have a hard time filling both of these commissions, including the one we're talking about on this agenda item. So whatever pleases council on this one, there's no motive here. We just would prefer it to be the same for both commissions.
Okay. I guess what we know is that those that have sat on the other commission haven't complained of not having the opportunity to excuse an absence, but we don't know how many of those folks that would have applied might have otherwise been deterred by that language. So I wouldn't mind making the language consistent and allowing for some sort of a relief valve of sorts if there is a true family emergency or a health emergency that limits somebody's ability to serve. But I would like to hear from the rest of the council to see if we want to move forward with that, so in which case we would table this and bring back both ordinances, or just move forward tonight.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, even though it hasn't happened now, it's bound to happen someday, so down the road, I would think.
If I may ask, Mr. Mayor, would it be council's pleasure to have each board and commission be able to define or interpret what's an excused absence, or would that be something that council as the appointing body would reserve?
Some jurisdictions use an ethics policy with some enumerated absences, family emergency. I mean, I can, I think we could discuss that if council were interested, because there are probably only 5 or 6 really valid excused ones, and it doesn't sound as though it's triggered much with us. I also had a question as far as the last sentence of D, that the council may remove any member of the commission by a majority vote of the council or as otherwise provided by this code. Is that intended for any grounds, or is that just if the requirements of missing meetings were met?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Henry, that kind of language is typically if a member of either commission were to just do something that wasn't really appropriate for their position. It's hard to describe what that could look like, but then we bring that to council, say, hey, do you really want this person on the commission? Then it's council's authority to remove them. I have not seen that for either commission since I've been here. Just to clarify, and Mr. Horton can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just a first reading tonight, so I don't believe there's any motion to table. We'll just hold off on the second reading. Just so council knows, since this is a municipal code item for the Historic Preservation Commission, it does not have to go to the Planning Commission for a recommendation. However, the changes to the Planning Commission language would go to them first for recommendation, because that is within the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Okay. And then the only other commission that we have then would be Airport Commission. That was created by ordinance too, I'm assuming?
Yes.
It was.
And is the language consistent with that commission, as long as we're discussing a general overhaul of all the ordinances? Do we know if the language is consistent?
I'd have to check.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want to get clarification though first from council on whether or not we want to have an excused absence, and if you want to have that be up to council to decide what that would be, or to the individual commissioners.
I think what I've heard from Councilor Henry is reasonable.
Okay.
I would agree, and I think there needs to be some excuses that are legitimate that we need to take into account.
What we could do, and I don't want to overcomplicate this, is this could operate the way it's proposed, except for a member could petition the council to stay on for good cause shown, and then council could have the review.
And Mr. Mayor, Council, that language is in at least the Planning Commission one, that if they were to hit that number of absences, and then we go through the removal, they could petition to council for exactly what Mr. Horton just said. Also, if we're going to look at doing those excused absences like we do with most of what we bring to you on our zoning ordinance changes, we'll look and see what other communities do, see what maybe they allow, and bring something back.
Okay. Okay, so, okay. Do we want to, council, do we want to try to give, it sounds to me like everyone, I see a majority heads nodding that we want to have some kind of excusable absence in there. Do we want it to be more prescriptive where it's defined, or do we want it to be they need to come in and pitch their case to council on why they missed so many, and we would be the deciding body at that time?
We already have that language,
Okay.
and I think that's burdensome. My position, and again, I welcome any disagreement, my position is we're putting that burden, that's to me a significant hurdle where I don't want to use the word desperate for folks, but pretty close to getting desperate from just, the years of vacancies that we've had, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I can recommend to council, as staff, I prefer having the list, and that way we can easily check it off or on, and not have to come out in public or do something at a hearing. We always have a city attorney. We can get advice on whether this fits that, excuse or not if we need to, and then they always have the right to appeal, apparently. So if it will, let us try again. I think we've got enough feedback today, and we'll come back probably with an update to both. So it'll be a little while if we have to go to P&Z, but we'll bring it back. And in the meantime, if you're watching and want to participate, we have vacancies on our P&Z. So I'm probably out of line there. I apologize. Strike it from the record.
We do, and it sounds like thankfully we do have a couple applicants, but the open period for submitting, I think, is till this Friday, so there's still time.
Okay. I don't see this item being too time sensitive, but I'm glad that we're taking a look at it. Yep. Okay, so we'll go ahead and table this then and bring it back at a later date, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the annual report on the city's general plan 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Gary Davis with Community Development. As you know, the state law requires the planning agencies for municipalities to present an annual report to their councils on the progress and implementation of the plan over the last year. We've compiled that again this year. It's in your packet. It's about 50 pages long, summarized to the various recommendations that come out at the end of each chapter in the general plan. In the right-hand column is a comment in italics that give a brief update, if there is an update on that particular item. As we mentioned in our report, these recommendations are kind of a mixed bag in terms of how they're worded. Sometimes they are very specific. We will take this action. In other cases, it's just kind of a aspirational, support this, think about this, be consistent when we do this. And it's a little more challenging for staff to come up with updates for some of those. Sometimes we have examples of how we've been implementing that, but sometimes there isn't an example. So We've put this out again to our various departments to fill in the blanks as best they can, as far as they can tell what's been done in relation to those recommendations. So that's before you here tonight, and it went to the Planning Commission last month, and they recommended to forward it to you for review. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the process. On the specifics, we may or may not have people in the room to answer specific item updates, but if we don't have people in the room, we can get you those responses. As Scott mentioned in the last retreat, I believe, we do plan on, during the process of this next update of the general plan, this next 10-year cycle, look at how we word these recommendations and make it very distinct as to what's an action item and what's a recommendation, what's a policy and a goal. And we're even thinking about having those policies and goals be the focus of the general plan, not have a lot of the discussion of existing status in the general plan, just have it be a policy document, and then hopefully take those policies and put them directly into the strategic plan. So the strategic plan becomes the tool for updating and checking the progress on the implementation of these policies. So that's one option we're working towards.
Okay.
But again, happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. Council, do we have any questions on this update?
I just like the synopsis, if you will, of doing it that way. Makes more sense.
Any other comments? No?
Well, I agree with Councilmember Wilden. This is really, I was excited reading through the most of the markers, and then there were a couple that I almost feel as though we are meeting or we're working toward that maybe still need to be supplemented in here in the document. But no, I was really excited to be a part of the city and see the progress and growth and accomplishments and progress on other things that are still in the works. So thank you to everybody that put in the time to do the update.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
I'll just say I had the same reaction that Councilmember Henry did. As I read through this, many of the areas where there aren't any updates, I could think of the ways that we're working towards or have accomplished some of it. So I think overall we're doing a very good job. So thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, Council, if I can, I just publicly want to thank my team. They put a lot of effort into updating it this year, and hopefully it sounds like we did better, and we'll continue to add to it over the next couple of years before we start over.
Yeah, we certainly have been busy, and the document shows that. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I would motion to pay the claims.
Second?
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And then next is executive session. The vineyards at Cottonwood Gorsetta Ranch Road pursuant to ARS Section 38-431.03.A3 and or ARS Section 38-431.03A4. The City Council may vote to convene into executive session to discuss the development agreement with the vineyards at Cottonwood LLC and other parties, potential agreements with other prospective developers of a portion of the property that's currently part of the vineyards development agreement, and the current obligation of the vineyards developers to extend Gorsetta Ranch Road from State Route 89A to Main Street. I would make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Wilden seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're going to go into the back room. You're more than welcome to stick around. Could be 20 minutes, could be 40 minutes. We're just not sure, but we'll come back and